Hey guys, welcome back to Beauty Bees. Today we're doing a really quick little declutter. This was a pretty spur of the moment declutter. I was starting to go through my empties for the month, which hopefully I will be filming immediately after this. And I realized that I had, I don't know, 3 or 4 declutters in there. And I was like, you know what? It's been quite a while since I went through all of my drawers and ensured that I was using or at least wanted to keep everything that was in my stash. So I went through and it turns out there were quite a few things that I was not using and didn't want to keep. So let's get started. We have one hair care piece. This is from DP Hue and it is their Color Fresh Dry Texture Spray. And I got this through, I don't know if it was Influencer or if it was Buzz Agents. I think it was Buzz Agents. But I have always wanted this to be a dry shampoo, and it's just not. It is a dry texture spray. That's not a thing that I have a whole lot of use for. My hair is pretty fine. Product tends to build up very, very quickly, and my hair just looks dirty when it has texture. So this will be going. Let's move to skincare next. I have this Winky Lux In the Clouds Bakuchiol Retinol Alternative Cream Oil. This, I don't know if this was a expired product problem or if it was just a product problem in general. When I wear this underneath any kind of other moisturizer or really with any other skincare, it pills up so badly on my skin and it just feels really obnoxious. So then I don't use it, so then I don't have any retinol in my routine, and yeah, we don't need that. So I've had this for a little over a year and I've just never gotten consistent use out of it because of that. I did buy this on clearance, so I kind of wonder if maybe it was already like on the cusp of going bad, but this is not for me. It can go. And I have one more skincare piece, I think. And this is from Carez. This is their Night Brightening Sleeping Facial. And this is so heavily rose scented. It didn't bother me when I first got it. You can see I've actually used a decent little amount of it. This was something that I used probably 2 or 3 times a week through much of the winter. But I've tried it a couple of times in the last month or two. And last month, February was still very much winter. And I hate the smell. I cannot deal with it. It used to bother me just when I was putting it on at night. And then, I could kind of smell it for like 5 minutes and then it was fine. I wore this not even on my face, like on my elbow because it was really dry and I thought that this might be really helpful for that. And I put it on, probably like 8 or 9 p.m. and I woke up at 3 a.m. and I was like, what stinks? This. I cannot deal with the smell. It is going, and I think everything else. Oh, let's do nail polish first. The first one I was actually complaining about in a recent video. This is from Nailtopia. It is their plant-based biosourced top coat. This has a fragrance to it, which is neither a positive nor a negative for me. At the beginning, I didn't really like it, but then it sort of lessened with time, and now it doesn't bother me one way or the other. What gets me with this particular top coat is that it really lengthens the amount of time that the nail polish is wet. This is not quick drying in the slightest. I think it sort of reliquefies the nail polish underneath even though I'm usually pretty good about waiting until my nail polish is like 80% dry, maybe to the point where you can tap it and not mess it up. But um, I mean, if you were to like wash your hands or something, you would mess up the nail polish. That's usually how long I wait before applying top coat. But once I put that top coat on, it's like I have an hour where I can really mess up my nails. And I have messed up several manicures because of this. It's leaving, it does extend the wear time of my nail polish, but if I'm locking in a manicure for days and days that was already messed up in the first like 45 minutes, what's the point? So I had quite the set of Color Club nudes for different like white girl skin tones, and I went through them. I think I had like 6, and I picked the 3 that I was actually going to wear, and I picked 3 to get rid of. These are a little bit more yellow toned than really looks great on me, especially these 2. This one I think is a little bit better, though there's definitely some orange separated out at the top, so maybe if I shake it up a little bit. Yeah, this one doesn't look as bad in comparison, but I swatched them out and the other ones that I had looked better. I've been needing to do that for ages, basically since I got these polishes, so I did it, and now I'm 3 Color Club polishes down. I might actually reclutter this back into my collection. I'm looking at it now. This is from Nisho Beauty, and it is the shade Worthy. Now, the reason I was questioning this is because I feel like the undertone in this polish is not quite right. This is pink, but it has a lot of yellow to it. It almost leans like a pinky coral, but a yellow toned pinky coral. And I have like quite a few true pinks in a similar depth that I think are a lot more flattering on me. But you know what? We're not decluttering. I'm keeping it. These Misho Beauty polishes are quite nice. I think they're really cute too. So yeah, I'll be keeping that. And then the last polish that I'm getting rid of is from Lights Lacquer. This is the shade Amethyst. It is a deep purple shade with some scattered hollow glitter in it. It actually kind of looks like what I am wearing today, though this is layered up a Essie Expressi polish and a Zoya that's giving the sparkle. So, I was just never wowed by this. This is a purple that takes 2 coats to look decent and 3 coats to look flawless, which I think is very silly for this depth of shade. This depth of purple, I would expect like 1 coat to look really pretty okay, like you could get away with it if you were in a rush, and 2 coats to look perfect. And the sparkle isn't that intense with this. It's just never fully what I want it to be. I'm disappointed every single time I use this. So I will no longer be using it and get rid of it. Everything else I have is makeup. I have quite a few face products, which, great. That drawer was starting to get a little bit extra full, so it's nice to be moving some things out. Let's start with this highlighter from Sydney Grace. Now on me, this is not a highlighter. This is Pumpkin Spice Latte. I got this in a mystery box. And I purchased 2, sorry, not mystery box, mystery bags. I purchased 2 at the same time, and I got really quite similar shades in the 2. This one had a highlighter and pumpkin spice latte, and the other one had what was labeled as a blush. And it was a slightly peachier take on a similar color, very similar amounts of glow in those 2 products, whereas this is more of an orange. And I don't need both. This type of color is not my absolute favorite. It's nice to have one around, but like on me, that's not a highlighter, it's a blush, and it's a blush shade I don't wear super often. So I picked the one that I thought was more flattering on me, and I will be decluttering the other one. This one made me feel pretty dumb. This is from the Girl Powder face quad from the Balm, and I really thought that this was a magnetic palette, so I was like, oh, I'll just pop out this highlighter shade, which again isn't a highlighter on me. It's just too dark to fulfill that. It is nice to mix in with blushes, but I never reach for it for that purpose. I only end up using it that way when I've told myself that I need to get use out of this product. So I was like, oh, it's a magnetic palette. I can just pop this one out really easy. I got out my little tool and I started bending it, and it did come out pretty easily, but it was not a magnetic palette. Yeah. So I guess no takebacks on decluttering this one. It is fully ripped out. I have one blush. This is from Etude. It's their Lovely Cookie blusher in Lavender Lemon Macaron. I worked on this in my project pan last year to hit pan, and I did. Of course, I can't seem to catch the pan in there, but there is. It's right here in the, oh, well, I just disturbed a little bit more. Anyway, it's right there where I just knocked even more of the product out. This is a really light purple shade, and it is pretty. I like wearing it, but it is very light and very white based. I always think that this is going to be a little bit more purple on the skin, and I actually really like a purple blush. I have a purple blush from ColourPop that I use fairly often, especially during the spring, and I would just rather reach for that over this practically any day. One bronzer, this is Bare Minerals Warmth. I got this in a set about a year ago that had a lip glowy balm and a liquid eyeshadow, and then this sample of Warmth. And let me get just a smidge of this on my finger. I do like the way this is packaged. It's easy to only get out a little bit. This is just not a good shade for me. It is very orange toned, and it's a little bit dark. I find this a difficult shade to work with, and it does nothing for me. So I'm going to be giving this up. I thought when it was winter, it was probably around this time last year that I got this, and I kind of hoped that during the summer, I always have this idea that I get tan during the summer, and I don't. I always think that's going to happen somehow for the first time in my life, and that this would work better if I deepened up a little bit during the summer. That didn't happen. It still is much too dark and too orange for me. So I think I'm ready to give up on that. Another shade or another product with a very similar backstory is this e.l.f. Flawless Brightening Concealer. This is in the shade Fair 15W, and it's too warm. I bought this on clearance on e.l.f.'s website, and they were out of the corresponding cool shade, so I got the warm one thinking that maybe I could make it work, and it was like 80 cents or $1.25 or something. I figured for that price it was worth a try. It's too warm. It's also a hair too dark, I think, but it's hard to tell because the undertone's off. But I think this is an okay, it's right there. I think if I had the cool tone version, it would probably be okay, and it actually is looking okay on my hand. But I wanted this to be brightening, so I wanted it to maybe even be But I want this to be brightening, so I wanted it, if anything, to maybe be half a shade lighter than my skin tone. And this is just very much not that. So I am ready to part with that. Okay, I have one eyeliner. This is from the Bambi collection from ColourPop. And this is the shade Meadow. It is this really light yellow, which I thought was going to be so interesting and fun. And I pictured myself doing really interesting looks with it, and it's just, I have no idea what to do with this. It looks really sickly on my waterline, and it doesn't give enough contrast on my upper lash line to feel worthwhile at all. So I've never really figured out what to do with this. I've used it 4 or 5 times over the probably 2 years that I've owned it, and I've never loved the effect anytime that I've used it. Should we do lip products next? Let's do it. We have these 2 glitters from Milani. These are the Hypnotic Lights, which are like a lip topper, a glitter lip topper. They sort of look like lip glosses in the tube, but they are almost like a liquid eyeshadow that's just intended for the lips. I had a similar product from Urban Decay several years ago, but it was in a little bit more of a wearable-ish shade. It was more pink based, and then it had some green flip to it. I can't believe that I'm describing a pink that flips sort of green as a wearable shade for my lips, but I've never gotten great use out of these. I've had them for about 1.5 years. The gold is probably a little bit more approachable than the blue. This is very blue on the lips, and I've worn it over a purple lipstick once or twice, and it's been very pretty, but it's like neither of those is something that I'm going to wear with any kind of consistency. Anytime I wore these, it was for a video, and I took them off afterwards. And I don't need to have products like that around. Next up, we have this Tarte H2O Balm. This one is in room service. I had one of these start to go bad on me, or not even start, really go bad on me when I was doing my latest inventory video, and I had 4 of them. This, with this, I believe I'm down to 2. This one's fine. It was just, it's not something I'm excited about, and I know these are very much on borrowed time at this point. So I decided I was going to declutter this one. I have one more that I think is a little bit more pink and a little bit lighter. I'll wear that one until it goes bad. I liked these. I've just never gotten the use out of them, and I'm not sure why. I'm really big into these lip balm style products, but something about these has never really appealed. I don't know if it's the slight mintiness or mentholness that these have or what, but never been able to get into these Tarte H2O balms. The color on this one is just awful. This is from Vesca, and it is their Lush Glow Creamy Lip Oil. And let me tell you, I read before I purchased that this was more pigmented than I thought it was going to be. That's what all the reviews said, and I was like, oh, okay, fair warning, thanks guys, this isn't going to be clear, it's going to be a softly pigmented orange. No. This is an incredibly vibrant orange. Like, how supposed to wear that as a lip oil? Maybe if you have a more warm toned complexion and a deeper skin tone, this might look good on you, might be really poppy, might even be what you're looking for. But I have a hard time with oranges at the best of times. And while this is sort of on the line of the type of orange color that I would like, it's so bright, and it's a lip oil, so it can move, and I can't deal with it. I don't think I've ever worn that out of the house. I've tried it several times, but I don't think it's ever made its way into a video, and it's never made its way out of the house, and that should tell you everything you need to know about how that product ended up looking on me. Next we have this Trustique crayon. This is their matte color. Now I have their more satin moisturizing lipsticks in very similar packaging. I have 2 of them right now, and I like them a lot. This matte formula, though, is just not incredible. First of all, I'm allergic to the product that's on this side. It has beeswax in it. I didn't think to check that before I purchased, but the primer on the other side is not good for me. The matte lipstick itself is very dry. I think that's why the primer is on the other side. It's just a dry lipstick in a color that I could get in a lot better formula. I probably have this in better formulas, so this can go. I don't know if I said what the shade on this is. It's Florence Fig. If you are looking at these Trustique lipsticks, the creamy ones, amazing. These matte ones, wouldn't recommend. And then finally, we have this little guy. This is the Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink in Pioneer. But you know what? My college team for undergrad was the Pioneers. And this is a pretty color. I think this is going to stick around too. It's just a little guy. It's not taking up too much space. Yeah, I think I want to keep that. Okay, 2 items are sticking around. These last 3 products, which are palettes, are not sticking around. This is actually going to be a declutter video, not a things I thought I was going to declutter but ended up keeping. First, we have this e.l.f. Bite Size eyeshadow palette. This is in the shade Berry Bad. If you go back to the early days of my channel, I used this and Pumpkin Spice constantly in my early tutorials because I was at my parents' house and I had, I think, like 5 eyeshadow palettes. And they were all like Wet n Wild quads or quints. Quads, I think, at that point. And like these little e.l.f. bite-sized quads. Anyway, I like this color scheme. It's pretty. I just never use it. And when I do think to wear this type of color, I have a Pat McGrath Quint that has sort of similar warm berry shades. I have similar shades in a couple of different ColourPop palettes. It's just, I don't need this. And this is not something that I would ever take with me if I was traveling because these are not my go-to colors. There's nothing wrong with the quality on this. I think it is shockingly nice actually for a $3 eyeshadow palette. It's just this like orange toned berry is not a go-to for me at all. Little PYT Beauty Quad is again really quite nice. I got this through Ipsy, and this is the Upcycle eyeshadow in Warm Light Nude Mini. They have a larger version of this palette, and there's nothing wrong with this. Very similar to the e.l.f. The quality is good. It's just nothing special. The quality isn't amazing. It's nothing I feel passionate about. I have very similar shades to these several times over as well. Actually, I think I have shades that are identical to these two, or close enough to these two in that same Pat McGrath palette. And then I have a light and a dark neutral brown so many times over. So while it is, again, very pretty, I don't need it, and I don't feel like I'd be missing anything if I got rid of it. This last palette is from Tarte. This is the Sugar Rush palette in Summer Playlist. And it's just really boring. I feel like this could be a perfect travel palette for someone, but I want to say, yeah, this shade, Stop, which is the only shimmery shade in the palette, is pretty prone to hard pan. I definitely had to scrub my finger in there to get much product off, and it is pretty. I will give it that, but it's again sort of that more rose-toned shade. This one's more of a rose gold, which I can kind of get behind. And nothing else in here sparks any kind of feeling whatsoever. I'm not going to keep this palette for one shimmery shade that hard pans. Like, the rest of it is fine. It just doesn't do anything for me. So in total, I've decluttered 22 items. There were 24 in the bin originally, but I think these two are sticking around, though I'm still kind of waffling on this one. For the moment, 22 products are leaving. I think that's amazing. I am on a mission to get to 100 items decluttered from my house. I think almost all of that is going to be from my closet. I'm not ready to take on my closet yet. There's so much, and so much of it doesn't fit, and anyway, too many feelings, can't deal with that right now. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Please consider liking and subscribing if you did, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye!